Hello, everyone. I'm Leah, and I present to you Safety Team. Next. Problem statement. Existing solutions are either insecure or use large amounts of power and are network bandwidth. This leaves civilians without reliable, secure, fast methods to let their family know that they're safe. Next. Our solution is designed for the Ukrainian community or other war and disaster refugees. It helps users to keep track of loved ones, updates networks with one check-in versus many calls and texts. It doesn't require downloads or use a lot intense power internet. And David will demonstrate the live web application.
Dave? Who's Dave? I'm Brian.
I'm sorry, I keep calling you David.
No, you're okay.
Brian, it's Brian.
Cool, guys. So,
Sorry.
I'm going to just walk you through the app real quick. Also, DJ is going to post a link in general, so you can actually try it out for yourself. It's slightly rough, but it works for the most part. So the first thing we need to do is we're going to sign in. And the way this is organized is it's organized into groups. So right now I have 6 people in my group that I'm trying to keep track of and that I want to check in with regularly. So I can see that Zach is on 2 accounts. I'm going to mess this up again. Shao, Josh, and David have all checked in. I have also checked in. So for those who share permissions for their location, we can click on this pin and we can actually get a rough idea of where this person last checked in. We don't want to get too specific because there is a potential for misuse of that data. But this is enough so that if they fail to check in and you receive a notification saying like this person missed their check-in by 2 hours, then you can be like they were in this area. So there is so when you're joining a group, you can create a group by going up to the sidebar here, and you just put in a name and a link to your picture. And then you're given this create or copy invite link that you then share with the people you want to invite to your group. So that's in general. There is a link that you all can click on. And we can run through that flow as well real quick. Marcel is not happy with me today. So I'll sign in on a different account. Now it's going to say like, this is the group that you're joining. Here's an avatar for that group that we've been put in on that form. And when we join the group, we can see that I am on the group. Yeah. Well, there's a bug. That's a hackathon tradition to have a bug during the demo, but I'm going to turn it over to Ian to walk a little bit through the next steps that we have planned out for our application.
All right. So, as you might know, that there are challenges with checking in with folks, but also just expressing care to one another in a way that's low energy. What we've got going on for us, next slide, please, is that the initial stage was basically to develop this one for basically checking in with recursive reminder that that lightly helps keep tabs on folks. But the real orientation is care center. So one of the other things is just from around, right? As far as okay, I'm thinking of you kind of thing. So think of like Poke mixed within Mark Safe. If any of you remember the earlier days of Facebook and currently, but also it's better than a usual panic button. Including support for personal connections, not just groups. So due to the security orientation that we have, done some of the stuff to start off in a group, but there are ways to kind of specialize how you relate. And then the implications are also that this is not only out. We want to prioritize those in humanitarian areas, but it also when speaking with Vlad as well as looking into some other research, disaster response implications for like earthquake, for example, or elder care. also, even there's a venture capital firm in Ukraine that was interested in trying to have an app like this for just knowing what's going on with their employees. So with that, I think I think we are more or less. This is our team.
One more minute here.
Okay, well, that's anticipated. But I think we can shift to a bit more with questions and say thanks for all of the contributors and support that we've gotten along the way so far.
Excellent. Judges, any questions here?
Okay, thank you for the demo. It looks like you basically did the whole flow working, and that's very, very, very nice to see. Thank you, team. So, a question for me is this like a mode of communication, or is this like a plugin for another mode of communication? Do I have to check in through the app, or do I have to use this app as like a reminder to use any other communication apps?
So for MVP, it's the second option. It's a reminder to use other communication apps. But the idea being that if you are in an area where you have less electricity or you have less like internet speed, where WhatsApp or other like group chats are infeasible to have running, with this, you just open it up, you press the button, and it communicates to everybody in your network that like you're okay, you're safe. And so it's a more lean option in that sense. And basically it hinges more on telling people when you are not okay, as opposed to a group chat where you have to message everybody, keep track of everything. So it's just a more streamlined way to keep track of the number of people at a given time.
Yeah, and also as far as the security part, that helps with authentication, right? So in this case, this is just the initial signal, and then from there, from what we've heard about, phone being confiscated and things like that, being able to coordinate in person, that becomes your better sort of connector.
Alright, so to use this right now, I have to have the people I contact also use this app as well. Right? It's something I can use only by myself.
So you send them an invite link. It's pretty simple. And they can, once they log in, they're in your group and you're good to go. So it's like a one-click process apart from the login.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and the reason that you have to join a group is, again, just for the privacy aspect, where you have to specifically share that information with somebody instead of having it like more publicly available.
How much data do you store on the internet? Like, do you store group lists on the cloud or locally?
It is on the cloud. It's in FireStore right now for our data store.
Gotcha.
And that was for speed of iteration. It's definitely something that could be tweaked in the future.
Yeah. Thank you, team. That's great stuff. I love seeing that you have the whole thing working end to end.
You guys hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes.
Yeah, I was going to say, the whole thing revolves around groups, because it's like with security issues, you want to tell people you're okay, but you only want to tell people in your group that you know that you're okay. And people might be a part of multiple groups. So it kind of, the big thing we wanted to address was security. And people were manually checking group chats to check in with their friends. And this is like a dedicated app that will update multiple groups that care about knowing that you're good to go, you're safe. So that's what we're kind of building around.
Yeah, and also as far as just minimizing the risk of interception, because this is through a more secure pathway, so it's not likely to be as exploited.
Do you have plans to launch this?
What was the question?
Do you have plans to launch this?
I mean, yeah, it's live right now.
Yeah,
If you go to the general channel on Slack, you can join, you can create a group.
So I think that right now it's feasible. Just kind of a matter of time. But all the code is open source right now. I think we need to attach a license to it, but we'd likely get an MIT license, so anybody could install it and use it themselves, or modify it to make it work for what they need specifically.
right. And I also want to point out the scalability. A lot of social media requires a lot of different people to sign up in order for it to be a successful one. But with this one, even if you have a group of 10 people using it, it can be just as effective as if you were keeping track of all your coworkers of 200 people.
And there are potentially other adopters too. We took off this slide, but a lot of people have this issue of wanting to check in with people. So we were thinking like this could be used to help send alerts for like people who might be at risk of going missing. And like we were thinking about elder care, like elderly people, you want to just make sure that they checked in today, that they're good to go, and then they should check in every day or whatever. So there's potentially a bunch of other groups that could potentially use this.
How do you balance security and in open source? Do they still see like you have like API keys and stuff listed in your source code? Could this be like a risk of taking your data?
So because we're using authentication through Firebase, those API keys actually serve only to identify which Firebase application you're connecting to. All the authentication is actually handled on Google's end. So the information in the repository describes the data structure, but unless you are essentially breaching like a Google Cloud service as a whole, all that information is safe behind that.
Correct. And our login or sign up is through Google as well.
So I can only access my groups if I'm logged in.
Correct.
Correct. Yeah, I think right now the rules are somewhat more flexible just because of development, but there are rule sets to essentially scope it down so you can only see groups that you're in.
Mm-hmm.
And just
Also,
the personal dynamic of the groups. Oh, go ahead.
yeah, so we can also, for the sake of time, we only set it up with Google, but in the future we can also authenticate through your email by sending a magic code to your email, or you can set it up to connect through Facebook or Twitter. But for the sake of time, we only did Google.
Yeah, and again, I was going to say that the in-person dynamic, as far as you're only really inviting people that that are within your personal circle. That was in consideration, so that when you move to other communications, as long as there's some education about using secure methods, then that was the other layer.
Vlad or Alex, any questions here? I don't think Alex had a chance to ask questions.
Yeah, so I like this idea a lot. I very much like the fact that there's an application that's up and running, good work team. I was wondering, so in a situation where you're in an active war zone, for instance, anything can happen, and I'm wondering if someone, for instance, loses or breaks their phone or doesn't have access to internet, their battery dies, they're not powered. Are there good ways for people to be able to say, I'm still okay, I just don't have my device at the moment?
So that's something that we kind of have as a planned feature set. The pattern, or I guess the functionality for notifications is based on a cadence that's specified by each user. So they basically commit to checking it once every 24 hours or once every 8 hours or however they want that to happen. And so there could be an option for a user to pause their cadence if they know that something like that is going to happen. In a number of those cases, you do lose your phone or you lose contact for some reason. Depending on the person and how you view the use case for the application, that could also be a valid reason for your network to be notified that something is not correct. And then you might potentially be in danger. So it kind of would, with the pause feature set added, and then some personal sort of decision making on what you deem notification worthy, I think would be a path forward on that.
We were thinking in the beginning of like how do you, what's the mechanism to which you can authenticate and verify that the person's good, like if your phone's was taken or whatever. And we floated this idea of like sending a picture, like your current picture of like, you know, just a human seeing that picture verifying, okay, this person's happy and they're doing good. So picture verification on that check-in would be a verification.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. And that would essentially also work for if you're doing this for elderly care and you want someone to, you know, take their blood pressure or something like that. I like that idea a lot. Yeah, I like that you guys thought through those scenarios because you're totally right. If someone loses power over cell connectivity, that is its own sort of situation that people might want to know about. Yeah, I mean, great work. I'm glad I have some questions. I don't know that I have any other questions. Just a comment that Wade has seen this all the way through to completion, and thank you for building this. It seems really useful.
Thank you.
Great. All right, next team, Dropshot. And just a note, judges in the audience, this will be our last project here.